Hey guys, I'm sitting back on my couch which is full of dog hairs. I've just been jumping up and sitting here all day. What I'd like to do in this video is talk about the resale value of GPUs, the resale value of graphics cards. This is a follow-up to the video I did earlier on where I talked about selling my two 1080 Ti's and talked about the hassle of selling them. So I don't think this is a topic that a lot of people have really focused on, but I do think it's quite important. So if you're a GPU miner or you're thinking about becoming a GPU miner, I do think it is important, very important, to think about the resale value of cards. Now, I'm not going to just, I'm not just saying this, I'm not going to just sit here and say this and make this up, but when I was building my rigs at the start of the year and the end of December, start of January, when I built my mining rigs, I did look into the resale value of my cards. I did look into it. That was one of many factors I looked into. Now, I probably spent too much time doing research, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I did go a little bit overboard. And I did the same thing with my main PC. So my main PC right now, which is what I use for recording, it's what I use for streaming, it's what I use for work. That was the first card that I bought. I got a 1080 Ti for that. Eventually, I bought another card and I put them in SLI, so I had two 1080 Ti's. But that was the first one I built, and I researched the hard drive and the motherboard and everything. I made sure it was the perfect PC for me at the time. And I did the same with my mining rigs. I spent a couple of weeks practicing things. I was learning about different things, and I was discussing it with my friend Mark at the time because he was building rigs as well. And I looked at a lot of different things. I created spreadsheets. So I created a big spreadsheet with all the cards that were available to me. And those cards were mainly NVIDIA. Now, it wasn't because I had anything against AMD. Quite the opposite. In fact, ideally at the time, I probably would have opted for AMD. But if you cast your mind back to last December, in the UK anyway, you just couldn't get an AMD card. You certainly couldn't buy one retail, and second-hand, the prices were crazy. There were £500 cards selling for 1,000. So it really was, crazy, and because of that, AMD cards just weren't available anywhere. It wasn't an option. And it wasn't just graphics cards which were affected by availability. Power supplies were becoming scarce, certainly the higher ones. Flash drives like SSDs and stuff like that, those were okay. So solid state drives were fine. RAM you could get, but obviously it was very expensive. Certain motherboards were very, very difficult to get as well. So when I was building my rig, I looked at each card, I looked at the price of those cards, I looked at what the reported hash rates were, and I tried to try and get an idea of what the best and most efficient mining setup was for me. And I mainly led myself to the 1060s because of that. Firstly, because they were available. More people were looking for 1080s and 1080 Ti's, which made it much more easier to buy the 1060s. So availability was a big issue because some of the cards you really just couldn't, you couldn't buy them. And certainly if you could buy them, you could buy one or two. You certainly couldn't buy as many as I did. I bought 24 of the same model. And I initially placed an order with a company for the same model from the same shop, but they limited it to 12, and then I bought 10 from another store, and then I bought a few more from somewhere else. But that led me to the 1060s. But also, I was also directed towards 1060s because of the hash rate to price ratio. Because if you picture like a 1080 Ti rig, if you put like 4 or 5 1080 Ti's, to get the same hash rate, you might have to build two other rigs of 1060s or 1070s. Now, two other rigs means two motherboards, two hard drives, 2 sticks of RAM, 2 power supplies and all that. So you have to take all that into consideration when you're pricing things. But even with that, all taken into account, the 1060s were still much more efficient. And what I was doing was looking at the hash rates of all of those cards. And I was looking at the hash rates, and I was looking at the daily profits. Now, obviously, daily profits change all the time. They change on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. But all it was a guide. It was a guide to say, right, well, this card setup has a higher hash rate, therefore it would break even, maybe a month or two before a 1080 Ti setup. Despite that, I was leaning towards a 1080 Ti setup. Can you guys hear that? my washing machine is going crazy right now. It gets to a certain point and goes mad. So I was still leaning towards a 1080 Ti setup, but I simply couldn't get it at the time because of the availability. After I built 3 mining rigs with 1060s, I did then end up buying another motherboard, and I bought another 4 1080 Ti's. I put them in the rig. So I had two 1080 Ti's in my main PC and then 4 1080 Ti's. I then had a total of 30 GPUs. Now, interestingly, as I said, I did take resale value into consideration. It was something that I talked about with my friend, and I can cast my mind back, and I know what my mindset was at the time. My mindset was it would be much easier to sell my 1080 Ti's down the line. Down the line, 1060s, you know, at the time, you know, if you cast your mind back to the start of the year, the rumours were that the new cards, the new, what we thought would be the 11 series of NVIDIA cards, but turned out to be the 20th series, the 2080 and the 2080 Ti, we thought they were coming out about May or June. So come out a little bit later, it's come out in September. But we thought that when those cards came out, it'd be very hard to sell a 1060 because a 1060, you know, it's obviously above a 1050 and 1050 Ti, but it's certainly at the lower end of NVIDIA's market, it's lower end of their range of cards. So when the new generation of cards came out, I was thinking, well, a 1060 is not only going to be an older generation, it's also going to be at the bottom of that generation. That was my thinking. And, you know, in contrast, I thought a 1080 Ti would still be powerful and it would still be very easy to sell. I was wrong. Well, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's not like I made a big mistake on this, but my prediction was certainly wrong. It certainly was wrong. And it's only something I've obviously recognised over the last month or so. In reality, the 1080 Ti's have been much more difficult to sell. When I listed my 1060s, they were selling very, very quickly. And the demand for my 1060s, you know, it was much, much greater than the 1080 Ti's. Now, there are a few reasons for this. One is that if you look at the range of, again, I'll use NVIDIA as an example, but if you look at NVIDIA's range of cards, it comes, you know, 1050, 1050 Ti, you've got the 1060, 1070, 1070 Ti, 1080, 1080 Ti. Most of the hardcore gamers will turn towards the 1080 Ti, and later on people did opt for the 1070 Ti as well. But most hardcore gamers are going for the more expensive cards. They're going for the ones at the top of the range, which is fine. And that's what I did with my 1080 Ti's. The problem is, with the new generation of cards coming out, well, they have arrived, the 2080 and the 20 Ti are out. With these new cards, the people who would be interested in buying a 1080 Ti 6 months ago aren't going to buy them secondhand now. Well, most of them won't, because a large percentage of the people who would buy a 1080 Ti 6 months ago or a year ago are now looking to buy a 2080 or 2080 Ti, because those people want the latest and the greatest cards. So right away, a big part of a big percentage of the people who would be buying your card is not even looking at your card secondhand, because they want it new, they want the newer generation. Now, from a ratio point of view, my cards have kind of went down at a similar price. You know, I bought my 1060s about 250, 255, and you know, they were, you know, I was selling them about 150. So yeah, they're about 60% of what they were before. And likewise, my 1080 Ti's, you know, bought for 850, 900, and they're selling at 600. So they've kind of went down a very similar ratio. But there is a difference. You know, with the 1060s, I'm losing £100 per card. With the 1080 Ti, I'm losing like £300 per card. But again, the biggest thing here isn't the price drop. It's more about how difficult it is to actually sell. There really just isn't a demand for 1080 Ti's second-hand as there is for 1060s. The reason being, 1060s are still very capable cards. They can do 1080p, they can do games very, very well. They're only a few $100. They're not going to break the bank. And if someone has got, you know, a very kind of average computer and they don't have the top of the range CPU, the top of the range, you know, motherboard and all that, they're probably going to be happy with a GPU that just lets them play their favorite games. They don't want or need the greatest thing. And even if they did want a 1080 Ti, maybe they just can't afford it. So there's certainly a bigger market for 1060s, in my opinion. And I'm sure that's the same, and we'll see this across all regions across the world. Now, how does this affect GPU miners? How does it affect anyone who's mining and, you know, it's got any kind of GPU mining rig? Well, I think that, again, you have to take the resale value of your cards into consideration. So if you've got a setup right now, keep it in mind. Down the line, when you are ready to sell, your cheaper cards, your 1060s and your 1070s, will probably find a buyer much easier than than selling the 1080s and 1080 Ti's. I suspect that's going to be true for across most regions. But if you are building a new mining rig, well, just bear in mind that if you are going to buy a top of the range card, such as a 2080 Ti, when you go to sell it, the actual market and the actual number of people available to you to sell to will be a lot smaller than if you had a 2060 or a 2070 or a 1060 or 1070. The low to kind of mid-range market, I think, is always going to have more buyers, simply because they're cheaper, they're more affordable, the entry point isn't as high. So it is something that I did give consideration to when I started building my rigs. I did give consideration to this. I did look at my setup. I did think, okay, I'm buying 8 1060s for this rig. But my mindset at that point was I was just going to mine with the 1060s until they weren't profitable. That was my mindset. I really didn't think it would be possible to sell the 1060s easily. I got it completely wrong. I really did get it completely wrong. I thought the 1060s would be a nightmare to sell. The 1080 Ti's would be easy. Complete opposite. So bear it in mind, guys. I'm not trying to put off anyone from buying new equipment. I think ASICs are a little bit different. I think ASICs are different because I think most people who buy ASICs tend to mine with them until the profits are lower than the electricity cost, and then they'll sell them on eBay, or they'll just brick them and throw them out. But in the GPU mining world, you've also always got this opportunity to sell to gamers. So when you're buying a card, bear that in mind. Bear in mind the resale value. And I know that no one builds a rig thinking, I'm going to sell this in 3 months, I'm going to sell this in 6 months. But if anything, 2018 has showed us is that the market can change, it can go down. I do believe that GPU mining profits will return again. I do believe that they will go back up. But it could go back down again. So just bear it in mind, guys. If you're going to spend a lot of money on GPUs and buy new motherboards for new rigs, bear in mind that if you do buy the higher end cards, it could be higher to sell those down the line. And sometimes it is better going for the lower end cards, such as the 1060s and the 1070s. Granted, it's not always as black and white as that. Certain algorithms perform better on the higher cards. And we've seen this with the Equihash algorithm, the 192 and the 1445 and all this, where the memory requirements are actually increasing to stop ASICs. So there's a lot of things to look at. But if you're building any kind of GPU mining rig, take the resale value into consideration, because down the line, it could be the difference between selling all your cards very easily or being left with a lot of cards you can't sell, or dropping those cards that you can't sell to a price that you're not happy with, but you have to sell. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, I'd love to hear your opinion on this, so please do leave a comment below, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.